Sisters of the Shire podcast. I'm Abby, and with me today is always our beautiful co-host, Ashley. But today we are also joined by another beautiful co-host, Kevin, who we're so excited that are joining us today. Let's say hello. Kevin, hello!
Hello, Kevin, hello, everyone. It's
So
great to be
Kevin-
here finally. I've been listening for so long, so just thanks for having me on.
Thank you for listening.
So Kevin is one of our awesome Patreons, which we're so grateful for, and we love to invite you guys on. We had another Patreon on that I love. What I love about having you guys on, there's so many accents. We've had so many fun accents with our Patreons coming on.
So many fun accents. Scottish is one of my favorites.
Give us a little. You want to give us a little bio about you, really quickly, Kevin, before we dive into the meat of the podcast?
Well, yeah, as Ashley said, I'm Scottish, as you may have noticed from my accent. I grew up in Scotland. I was there for the first 30 years of my life, and I've spent the last 10 or 11 years of my life here in Oregon, and been loving it. I'm married. My wife is originally an Oregonian, and we met on the internet before internet dating was a thing. So it was really unusual. We never had to tell anyone that we met on the internet. Everyone's eyebrows went up. What's that? What?
Oh.
What do you talk? That's craziness. You can't do that. So yeah, we did that, and we've been married. It'll be 18 years in July. We'll be married, and then like I say, we moved over here so that we could be closer to our family here in Oregon, and I've really enjoyed it here. I love the kind of lifestyle here, and I love, like say, being able to get over to the coast and go to forests for hikes. There's just so much to do in Oregon, and it's, you never run out of things to do. So that's been really fun. And yeah, so like I say, I've just been kind of here for the last 10 years, just in amongst all these kind of weird kooky people in Oregon, and just kind of finding my own little vibe. And I've really enjoyed
Lots
it.
of weird kooky people.
Like me.
True.
Yeah.
It's so funny because we don't live very far apart from each other, which is cool.
It's weird.
What was I going to say? Wait, I was also married in July. July is a great time to get married. I'm celebrating my
And
16th.
so was I.
16th
Yeah. Oh,
wedding anniversary.
and the 18th.
Yeah.
I don't know. I remember mine.
On the
I think we're getting
7th
close. I think we're 14 or 15.
On the 7th
Yeah.
of July, I'll be married for 16 years. It's crazy. It's crazy. So
Married as a
we're
baby.
so happy you joined us today. Like we stated before, this is going to be super chill. It's just going to be a fun, get to know you, but get to know the Tolkien side of you, which is really interesting. So how we always like to start it off with the question of what was either, do you have a first memory, or do you have something like a time in your life that you remember was the first introduction you had to Tolkien, or maybe the movies or the books, or how did you get into it? What do you have I
like to call this my origin story question.
Yeah, do you have a singular memory, or was it just a time in your life?
No, yeah, for sure. When I was growing up, I was much later than my brothers and sisters. So I had a much older sister, and she had her own house. And when I would go over to her house, she had bookshelves full of books. And I wasn't much of a reader, but I loved to go through the bookshelf and just pick books off and look at the covers and read the back of the jacket and maybe flick through and read a couple of pages and then just put it back. And that's how I'd kind of spend my time. She had all the Stephen King books. And just one day I just happened to see this green book, and I just pulled it off the shelf, and it just said The Hobbit. And it was, the old green cover with the mountains in the background and the red sun. And I don't know what it was about the cover. I was just there's something about this cover really intriguing. The other covers were really nice, but this one especially was I don't know what it is. And then I opened it up, and the first thing I saw was a map. And I wasn't a huge reader when I was young, but I loved atlases, encyclopedias, things like that.
Yeah.
At Christmas time, my favourite gift, if you could give me a Guinness Book of Records or a World Atlas, between Christmas and school beginning in the new year, I would devour that book.
That's
and
amazing.
Just on Yeah, this is before Google Maps, obviously. So, I was just kind of tracing along the line of the river and just imagine what it'd be like to travel up the Nile and, just going on adventures in my head and my imagination. So, when I opened this strange book, The Hobbit, I don't know what a Hobbit is. I've never heard of this before. And then there's a map. So immediately there was just light bulbs and sirens going on in my head that I had to read this book. I'm not a big reader, but it's not a big book. It's just, a little thin Hobbit book. So I could totally read this. Yeah, it's just a little Hobbit-sized book. So my sister said, yeah, totally take it away and read it. And I think it took me 2 weeks to read The Hobbit, and I was just completely hooked at that point. I loved this book. I took it back to my sister and was like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever read. She's like, oh, did you know there's another book, a book that came after this? And I was like, oh, amazing, there's a Hobbit 2. I would definitely want to read The Hobbit 2, more the further adventures of Bilbo Baggins. And she's like, oh yeah, I'll go get that. And she brought out, and it's that old, the hardback with the 3 books together. So it was like a big slab of paper.
Here is a
and
Bible.
She just, basically a big Bible-sized book, and just slammed that down in my. And I was maybe 10 or 11 years old. Put that, I almost fell down trying to hold this. There's no way I could possibly read all of this. This is impossible. And she just said, no, look, just take it away. I don't need to read it again. Just take care of the book and take as long as you need to read it and bring it back when you're done. And she just kind of made me take the book away. So I did, and it probably took me about a year to get through the Lord of the Rings to read it, because I'm a pretty slow reader. So eventually, but I powered through it, and just from that moment on, I was just absolutely in love with Middle Earth, and it became a book that I would read every couple of years. And at least The Hobbit or the Lord of the Rings, I'd kind of switch between reading them during the summer. And then when the audiobooks, that's again another thing. Every year I'll listen to the audiobooks, and then the movies. I'll watch the movies every year at Christmas. So it just became this sort of big routine part of my life, and a big part of something that I always will go back to, and it's something I can go back to and just enjoy fresh every time. Every time you pick up the Tolkien book, it's the same story, it's the same characters, but there's always something new that you see in it, or a line that you didn't really read too deeply before. Then you kind of read it this time, you're like, oh, that really kind of makes me think about something else. So it's always been something that I could go back to, and it's just really richly rewarding. So that's kind of my origin story, and that's kind of where I am, and why it's something I gravitate back to.
It's funny, the things you notice as a kid versus things you notice as an adult. You're like,
oh yeah, it changes, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think I've read a single poem until I was about 19. I just skipped every single poem when I was a kid. I'm not reading poems.
The songs, you weren't a fan of the songs. Yeah. You can't do that with the audiobooks, though.
I know, that's what kind of made me listen to it. And as I grew up, I start to appreciate that more. But yeah, at the time I was like, skip, no need. But like I say, as you go back, you go, oh, no, I'm going to read the poems this time. That's going to be my goal. When I read it, I'm actually going to stop, and I'm going to read, and that becomes something to really explore. And then that you realise, oh, the poems are really rich and they're full of stuff. And then when you read the Silmarillion, you realise just that Tolkien was just pulling from the Silmarillion for all these poems, basically. So it's just like, once you've read that, it's just that whole layer of, oh, that's a Beren and Luthien, and I know that. And so it's just really cool. And yeah. And that's another thing I love. I'm not one of those kind of, I like to, the red string. I like to connect everything together and make it all work together. And that's why I love Star Wars as well, having the whole Star Wars universe and, putting all these things together. And so having that in the Tolkien world, that's something else that just pulls me in every time. You read the Silmarillion, there's this character I didn't really think of before, and then you start exploring that character, and it's fascinating. And that's why I love you guys reading it as well, because you always pick out something really interesting or unique, or something I didn't think of when I was reading it, a perspective, and it just makes me want to go, I want to go back and read that chapter again now, and kind of think of that one. I mean, it's been really cool as well. That's why I love listening to podcasts about Tolkien as well, even though I know all this stuff, but there's always someone with a fresh perspective on it. So it's really cool.
Thank you. We really appreciate that. That's something that, I don't know, I feel like my brain is wired a little differently than the average bear. So I have these like thoughts and these like ideas and these questions, and I'm just like, what if anyone else has had this thought? So, and then Abby has a completely different brain than I do. So I feel like that's one of the beauties of our podcast is how.
I love that dynamic that you guys have. You bring all this studying and learning and notes, and then Abby just bringing her reaction to some of this material, and some of it is pretty, especially the touring story that you're going through. Some of that stuff is pretty wild. So it's just been really fun to see how people react to some of these stories, and this is not your typical Tolkien. It's not what you think when I know what a Tolkien story is. No, you don't.
No, you don't. You wait. I bet I could surprise you.
Oh yeah.
So I think that's so funny that you were first hooked in with maps. That's something that I feel like Tolkien, and it's literally in your background. That's something that I'm sure Tolkien, I mean, first, he thought of the languages, and then he's like, but you know what? We need maps. And then he made all, I feel like he just really liked covering all of his bases. Like, you know what? We also need a dictionary.
Yeah. I know. I love the stories you have when Tolkien is writing it, and I think it was Christopher was doing the maps, and so like Tolkien would do a sketch of the map, and then Christopher would come in and do like the maps that we've all seen. He would come in and do all the fine inking and stuff, and just that kind of working together, and just Christopher Tolkien, the work that he did for his father is just like amazing. That's another thing that I only really appreciate as you get older, the amount of work that he put into preserving that Tolkien's work and things like that. So, but yeah, it's just such a fascinating thing to dive into, and just so many facets to it. Like I say, it's in the public perception, it's just elves and wizards and
Right.
hobbits. But when you get into, like say, the Silmarillion or the Unfinished Tales, there's just so many rich ideas and characters and things that it's just that's what really kind of pulls me back. And I think, like I said, The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings will hook me, but I think the Silmarillion is probably the work that I go back to the most often. It's just, I think it's probably the richest of them all. It's just really fascinating.
Yeah, and it's got so many different types of stories in it. Like, I feel like it's, the one is like a kind of like a Bible story, and then the next one is like a full-on love story with like epic battle scenes in it, and then we have like, okay, I actually want to tell you about this map that I'm working on. So this is east, and this is west, and this like and now I'm going to tell you about the lineage. So now this is the son of this person. And then I have this crazy story to tell you about this guy and a dragon, and he's a super emo guy that ends up falling in love with his sister. It just bounces all over for different types of stories. You definitely don't get bored.
No. And that was really hard for me to read the first time, like the first couple of times to read it, because it bounced around so much. The stories were so different, and like I have that mind where I want to understand everything as I'm going, and so I was like, I was almost treating it like homework, and I was writing names down, and I was flicking back.
That's why you like our podcast.
I couldn't get through the book doing that. So eventually, I just have to just keep turning the pages, just forget like all these F names. They're all going to merge into one. I'm not going to remember them the first time. And I just get through it, and then once you get through it, it's like 2 or 3 days later, you go, that thing back with the ships, what was that about? And you go back and you read that, and then you start to fill in the details. But the first time, like I said, I was just like, I have to understand all of this. He's telling me all these names, so I need to know all of these names.
Yeah.
But that was it made it like homework, and I wasn't enjoying it. But once I'm just going to let the vibes just kind of wash over me, and I finished it, and then it's just sat with me, and I've always kind of revisited. And it's just, like I said, it's just so many different stories and different ideas and characters. It's endlessly fascinating.
I had the same exact reaction. Oh, go ahead, Ab.
I'm sorry, I had to be mom for a second. So if you asked another question, I'm sorry.
I didn't. We're still just nerding out.
All right.
I had the same exact reaction reading the Silmarillion. If you remember from our podcast, I was reading it to my daughter, like in a dark room. I literally had like a book light over me, and I'm like, I had the thought, like, can I write down something? Should I get a piece of paper? Like, should I get like some pens and like write stuff down and start taking notes? And I really wish I could like have a reference to like, or a cheat sheet that I could go off of. But I'm like, no, just enjoy the story. That's what you're going to do later with Abby. And then Abby's going to love it. And then that's the birth of our podcast became.
So, I mean, I'm sorry, again, I had to help somebody out there.
I mean, he pretty much answered the second question as well.
Yeah. So what, like, yeah. So, good job. You didn't even know. So, we were talking about, that we're moms and you have children, and we've asked this question of other parents on our podcast of, have you introduced your children to Tolkien yet? Have you, are they into it? What did you get them excited? If they are into it, how did you introduce it to them? Because my children are pretty young, where we just finished The Hobbit. We listened to it, the Andy Serkis recording. And we were doing a lot of road trips, so we just listened to that. And then we followed it with wherever we took a break, we followed it with the movie that correlated with the where we were in the story.
Oh.
And they loved it. And I'm
Cool.
like, okay, but that was The Hobbit. When can we get into Lord of the Rings? Because it's a little it's a little bit much. There's
It's tough.
more to it. So if you haven't introduced your children to it already, how did you do it? Or are they enjoying it? Is it a part of your life? Like we had another guest on our podcast that she's like, it was just part of our day-to-day life, and they have grown up with it, and they, it's been around them the whole time. So what about you guys?
Yeah, I think for me it's a bit of that. Yeah, it's like I've always got things up, so it's always been something I've been aware of, that Daddy likes the weird elves things with the lizards. And so that was always kind of that. But when they got a little older, it was always like every Christmas we watched the extended editions. That's in the family calendar. There was an extended edition.
Are there any other editions?
Exactly. so those are going to get watched between Christmas and New Year. All three of those. So those are always on TV. So they've always had them on TV and on the background. So they've always been aware, movie aware of the Lord of the Rings. But it wasn't until I didn't want to push it on them, because I've tried that before with Star Wars and been like, now's the time for Star Wars, son. And then he's just sat there and been completely nonplussed by it. Just this is not the time.
Isn't that so cool?
I know, yeah. This is all my childhood up on the screen. Isn't this the best thing you've ever seen? And it's like, this is the lamest, most boring. And it's like, okay, well. But so I didn't want to do that with Lord of the Rings too early. So I was like, I'm going to let it come to him. And so my son eventually, when we were just in a bookstore, he came up with the trilogy. I was like, could I get this book? And I was like, yes.
Play cool.
Yeah, exactly. Going crazy and says, yeah, I suppose. How much is it? Oh, I suppose we could probably do that. Yes, right, okay. If you're really good, yeah. So yeah, of course, rushed to the till, got that, and he's read it, and he loves Lord of the Rings. So he loves playing like fantasy role playing games. So he loves to play like the Elder Scrolls and all that. So he's always playing those. So he's a big fantasy nerd, and so he's read the Lord of the Rings, and he's read the Unfinished Tales, and he also tried to read the Silmarillion, but also didn't quite managed to get through it the first time. But there's, he'll have another go, I'm sure. But yeah, so he's more of our daughter. No, it's just, I don't think it's going to work for her. It's just a bit too slow, and she's more of like anime, and she likes the excitement and the flash and the bang. So I thought she might like the
War of Your Hero,
that movie that came out last year.
Yeah,
I thought that, so I put that on, and she was on her phone within 20-30 minutes, and I think the last of an hour, and I was like, "You want to watch something else?" Yeah. I thought that might bridge the gap, but it didn't quite work. So
that was the first thing.
That was a bit of a heartbreak.
You'll bond over something.
When I saw it was an anime style,
you'll find something.
Yeah, but if it doesn't, yeah, I'm trying to meet her. We're watching a bunch of like Korean dramas and things. That's what she's into. She likes to watch the Korean dramas and Japanese things, and so we're watching that. So I'm meeting her on her ground, and maybe I can convince her to just come over to the Lord of the Rings side eventually.
Go over to a little bit.
Just dip your toes into an extended edition.
6 hours. It's fine.
Good on you for being an awesome dad, for meeting with her interests and sitting and watching those with her. That's awesome.
Yeah,
that is awesome.
Not my cup of tea, but it's just fun to spend time with them. And like I say, I'd love it if it was Lord of the Rings, but if it's just anything, I'll just spend time with them. It's just
that's the point. That's the whole point. No, I was gonna say, if your son understood the Silmarillion the first time he read it as a child, I'd be like,
yeah,
is he okay?
Yeah, but when he asked for that one, I was like, yeah, we can get it, but I don't know if it's going to be quite your thing. But he's like, no, I want to read it, because I know I've said it's my favourite my favourite Tolkien work, so I want to read it, I want to try it. So, but it didn't quite work. But you'll come back to it eventually, I'm sure. But I tried to push him towards the audiobook. Talk about the Hobbit audiobook, the Silmarillion audiobook, read by Andy Serkis as well. I love that. So I was hoping maybe he would listen to that, but I don't think he has yet. But that might be a way in, because I think it's the Silmarillion. It almost is one of those books. It's just good to have it read to you. It almost like it's a story that should be read to you around the fireside, rather than just read in a book. So I think it works really well as an audiobook.
I think certain sections, but I grew up with audiobooks.
Yeah.
Like it's very rare for me to actually read a physical book. And so I tried listening to the Silmarillion first, and it was, I couldn't, like, it was like the homework thing. Like, what was that name again? How do you spell it? Like, it was just like, it was too much input at once. And I'm like, I need to be able to slow it down at my speed and be able to reread the word that, what name was that again? What land was that? Balerion? So, but I could see like the Baron and Luthien story, like the more exciting parts being more for audiobook for sure.
Like I say, I think once some of those later stories, when it gets into the Great Tales, when it's, you get a lot of characters and it's more of a narrative rather than like some of those things that are a bit more mythic in the start. I think it really works well, especially with someone like Andy Serkis, who's like a great performer anyway. You get a real full performance. It's just really fun just to throw on, like I said, Beren and Luthien chapter or the Turin chapter or the Tuor, and just kind of listen to those kind of Great Tales and complete with let's say, just this really amazing performance. But I'm more of an audiobook person as well. I have a hard time reading books, so if I can get an audiobook version, that's what I prefer. But it's sometimes there are some books where you do need to just crack open the spine of a book and follow what is this.
Yes.
It's
especially fantasy.
True. It's very true. So kind of on that same vein of like we were talking about the Silmarillion and things like that. Do you have we were talking about, the different kind of ADHD brain of Tolkien where he's like, I'm going to throw this in here and this in here and this story over here, but it's like not like one arc of a story. What is your favorite like little mini arc of the Silmarillion, like a character's arc or something like that? What's your favorite part of that?
You guys have just been getting about the meme, the petty dwarf. His little story is just like, you see him in the Silmarillion, it appears as just this cameo, just meme, and then he's gone. And then you go into the Unfinished Tales or the Children of Húrin, and he gets in this bigger role, and he's just this little weird guy who just comes into the story and just never seems to fit into the story, and then just, this always has the tragic end. But he's always this fascinating little character, this little meme. The petty dwarf, only petty
very
dwarf
interesting
and
answer.
I love how you talk about him in the Silmarillion. The Silmarillion is like, he just comes up like, meep, and then he leaves. Meep. Like,
it really does.
Oh, you forgot about meme again. No.
I'm not sure if you listened to both of our coverings of it from the Silmarillion and Unfinished Tales, but did you know about that poem that I had found?
No, that was new.
But you know what I'm talking about. But that was the first time you'd heard about it, was me recovering it.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? I'm like, I have to share this. You could have.
Yeah.
You could have. Oh no, never mind.
Yeah.
But I love all that kind of stuff about. I love that research you do though when you bring that stuff in. Like I love. I also listen to Corey Olsen, the Tolkien professor guy, who does like exploring Lord of the Rings, where it's like he goes through like line by line through Lord of the Rings, and I love he brings in all this information about how it was written in the different drafts and all that. So I love hearing this stuff when you bring in like, there was this poem, by the way, and so that was kind of, I don't know as much of that kind of background history to the writing of Tolkien's work. So it's really, I love kind of hearing those stories, and so that was really cool to hear that.
Okay, Ashley, this is proof. This is proof because Ashley like texted me or like called me before we recorded that episode, and she's like, did I nerd out too hard? Did I go too deep to find this thing? I don't know. I think I'm not going to like it.
You can never go too deep.
Look, he enjoyed it. Your target audience.
Exactly.
Well, I feel like we had the same brain.
Yeah.
So. I'll never doubt myself again. Thank you, Kevin.
Yes.
Oh. So just know, Ashley, you can never nerd out hard enough. There will always be someone who's super stoked about all the research you've done.
Yes.
So we've noticed that you have like fun stuff in the background of your background right now. And we, as most nerds do, we call it our dragon hoard of nerdy things that we like to collect throughout our life. But do you have something in your Tolkien collection that is your favorite thing or like most prized possession? And then do you have something that's kind of like a holy grail item that like if you won the lottery, you would get this? So what's your favorite thing you have?
Yeah,
and
so
you want
I can answer
get?
both of those, yes. So yeah, the favorite thing I have, as I said, I'm a lover of maps, so it probably won't surprise you. My favorite thing is the Atlas of Middle-earth by Karen Wynne Fonstad, which has all the various maps of the travels and the lands all through the Silmarillion, the Hobbit, and the Lord of the Rings. So
good one.
Anytime I'm listening to an audiobook or I'm reading the book, this is open as well, and I'm following along in the map where everything is. So I love this and I adore this book. The one that I would probably love to get is, like I said, I don't know a lot about the writing of it. So they've got those big, massive black volumes, The History of Middle-earth. And every time I see them on Amazon, they're like $200. And I'm like, I can't justify $200 to nerd out that deeply. Right. But that would be, if I did come into, silly amount of money, I might indulge myself with a purchase of the History of Middle-earth, the whole set. I would love those volumes. Just to put those up there I would love that.
Because they're so pretty too.
Yes, and you have to like pull it down and then blow off all the dust off it, like, and then crack it open, and it's like really ceremonial.
It's that thing when you make people wear white gloves before they open it.
Do not touch! Do not touch!
It's white gloves and a cloak. They have to get in full character before they can touch them. They have to be like fully decked out.
They have to pass a test, a Tolkien test, to be able to touch it.
Yeah.
Are you worthy of opening this book?
Do you also have like, if you could in your lifetime meet an actor from one of the films, who would you be? Who would you like? Oh my goodness, I would love to meet this person and also ask them so many questions about like being on the films and stuff. Do you have someone like that?
The whole cast is just, there's so many phenomenal actors in it. I could spend a whole day talking to any one of them about Lord of the Rings and other stuff that I've done. But I probably would be Andy Serkis, just purely. Gollum is that character that is in The Hobbit was the character that probably was most memorable to me. And then when he turned up in Lord of the Rings, I was probably maybe the only person who was like, yes, punching the air, like Gollum was back, and I thought Gollum would be gone and he wouldn't be back in this new book, and there he was, and I was so happy when he showed up again. So I'd be Andy Serkis, and just that would be fascinating.
My daughter roots for Gollum, so I feel like you would
yes.
He's so cute! Isn't he so cute, Mom? I'm like, I thought you'd be terrified of him, but okay, cute. We'll go with cute.
Just a freaky little guy trying his best.
Misunderstood.
No, I also...
Yeah. Okay, but I feel like Andy Serkis would be fun to talk to because I also feel like he knows so much about Tolkien lore as well. Like he's like not just an actor in the movies. He just like knows so much about it. As like that would be fun to just kind of nerd out with him as well. Other than just meeting him because he's super cool, but like that would be fun. To talk to him about that.
I would love to. Like I said, he read the Silmarillion, so just go, what did you think this passage meant in the Silmarillion? What was going through your head when you were reading this? And I could just nerd out about the whole pantheon there and the circus. That would be so cool.
He's also like very, I want to say eccentric, but that's maybe a bit too far. But like he's just, I mean, he takes on so many different roles. I feel like he'd just be very fun too. Like he wouldn't be like boring at all.
Well, when you hear him reading the Lord of the Rings, it is like having the whole cast because he does impressions of the whole cast, and it's really cool to hear him doing that. It's like, oh yeah, those are the characters from the movie in the book. It's kind of like a cool little kind of crossover.
Did you see the video of him talking about doing the voices?
I've seen a couple about
So like he had a microphone and he's like, so I feel like Gandalf is like up here and he's got this voice, and then he's like, but I feel like a dwarf is down here, so it's already struggling to like
it's fascinating to see the voice actors. Yeah.
Oh.
But yeah, he pulls himself into it. That's why I love his readings of it. It's just so, it's such a performance. It's so cool. But that's
Also,
when I'm out walking, like say, I'll have probably a voice something on.
He had to sing too.
Yeah. All the audio.
Oh yeah.
I was
all those songs
Ashley,
that you skipped, Kevin.
Yeah, I know.
I was telling Ashley that
no,
because we listened to The Hobbit with him narrating it, and it was the song, what's the big dwarf song that they sing? Misty Mountains.
So there's
the
Misty Mountains one. There's the break the plates and break, bend the forks,
it's like the one where they're talking about when the dragon comes, and it's like
that doesn't rhyme.
Story about
it's Misty Mountains. Yeah.
Yes. That song is like 4 or 5 pages long, and I'm like, like when he was reading it, I'm like, get over with this, please. This is so long. And I felt so bad for him.
And Tolkien's like, I know, another verse.
I know, like, and then, but I felt so bad for him because he was singing it like Thorin, so he had to go like really low, but he had to sing the whole time that low, and I'm like, Thorin only had to sing like 2 verses in the movie, but this guy's going like the 12th verse. I'm like, get into it, man. Keep going. No, but I feel you on that one, Kevin. That one kind of almost broke me. So I'm like, this is too long.
Yeah.
So, I love this question because I surprised Ashley when I asked this one because she didn't agree with my choice.
I don't think she was surprised by mine at all. You shocked me.
If you were in the world of Middle Earth, it doesn't have to be just Lord of the Rings, just The Hobbit, just The Silmarillion. Any timeline of the Middle Earth, which character would you want to be? But which character are you actually more like?
Yeah. my instinct is I want to be on Numenor in the second age, but that doesn't end well. And
it doesn't
end well when it ends.
Well, I mean, you could be one of the escapees. You could be one of the faithful.
Yeah.
I was thinking Isildur or someone that would be really cool, and just to, I mean, I know it doesn't end well for Isildur, but it would be kind of interesting to know what it's like to have the ring and see what that's like. And so I'm kind of curious. I would kind of like to be that, but that's probably let's just say that's who we can like to be. Isildur, just to experience the wealth and the lovely life in Numenor, and then to come over to Middle Earth and be victorious over Sauron, and then let's just kind of wave over the last few weeks of his life. That wasn't so
you
fun.
could rewrite his story. You could be like,
oh yeah,
throw it into the fire, and you're like, okay, and you drop it, and then end of story.
Credits roll, end of movie. Yeah, we don't need Kate Blanchett after all. So I think that's the chances are I would just be one of the grunts who would just be like, in the ships, just desperately trying to roam away from Numenor while it's disappearing under the sea. So I would like to imagine I was one of the leaders, but I'd probably just be just trying to survive and just trying to get by. Or I would probably just be a hobbit as well. I think the life in the Shire, that first half hour, 45 minutes of the extended edition in the Shire, is probably one of my favourite sections of the whole trilogy. So just living in the Shire, I would maybe that would be my life. I could just go live quietly with a little garden, and that's probably who I would really be. Instead of being a sad Numenorian, let's just be a little happy hobbit instead. So
yeah,
I like it. That's a great answer.
Would you be like
the gaffer,
the gaffer, or would you be like what is it? Proud feet. That guy who's like grumpy old. That.
I bet was it the one of those weirdos who go up and down the river on the boats, just scandalising the whole town as I'm out there paddling in the river.
The audacity.
Yeah,
that would be me. I'd love to be doing that.
Yeah,
over by the Brandy. Yeah,
yes.
maybe I get a chance to meet Tom Bombadil as he comes boating down the river one time. That'd be fun.
That would be
no
fun.
singing, sir. No singing.
I know what colour your boots are. Thank you very much.
Along the
that's a
same
good
lines
answer.
with
I like
that
it.
question, we have a similar question. I don't know if you've ever heard the game. Uh, it's like a game people play with their friends of like when they're talking about celebrities and they say like, who would you kiss, marry, kill of like a random assortment of celebrities.
Mm,
So our version is a little different.
okay.
Our version is who would you have a pint with at the Green Dragon? Who would you ride into battle with? And who would you sail to the Undying Lands with?
Who would I fight with in the Green Dragon?
A
Pint
pint.
with pint.
A pint.
Oh,
Like,
pint with. Okay, I thought you said fight. Okay, I was like,
I mean, a bar fight. That's an
Whoa.
excellent question too.
I'm Scottish. So that's just where I went.
And
maybe the
that's
pint led to the fight.
So I think I would like to share a pint with Glorfindel because I think he's got some interesting stories from back in the day. And
he didn't get to
Gondor
tell
and
them in
that.
the movies.
Exactly, he's cut out of the movie, so that was tragic. Arwen took his part. That was sad. But yeah, so I'd like to share a pint with Glorfindel, just let him tell his stories and have his
like
moment in the sign. So that'll be good. What was the other ones? It was
Who would
Go
you
into
ride into
battle
battle
with-
with?
riding. Oh, I'd ride into battle with Sam. Yeah, wherever he went, I would follow Sam. Yeah, So he has my spirit animal throughout. I know kind of Hobbit, Gollum. I
did you
kind
see
of
my
love Gollum,
shirt,
that little
sir?
freak. Oh well, there you go. But yeah, so I would absolutely ride into battle for Sam in a heartbeat. Yeah, just point me to the horse.
It's a good one.
And what was the last one? Was
Who would you go to the Undying Lands with? So like your bestie. You'd want to spend forever with this person.
that would probably be Aragorn, I think. I think he's just a good guy. He'd be a solid guy, just to kind of, he would come around and help you, fix up your roof if you need that done, and he's just a good guy to spend time with. And so, yeah, I'd probably go to Undying Lands and just kick back with some pipe weed with Aragorn, and maybe go knock up on Gandalf's door sometime and see if he wants to come and sit by the pier and watch the boats come in. So yeah, I'll do that.
That's a great
Do you
answer.
feel like, now that you mentioned it, because that was adorable what you said about Aragorn. Now that you mention it, do you feel like when Aragorn was king, he was the kind of king that like he only wore king stuff during like ceremonial things, and then when he's done, he's like,
oh yeah,
and then he's like in the blacksmithing area, or he's like helping someone with their roof, or like he's never in the like palace area. They're like, "Where's the king?" And he's like, he's helping some guy plow his field." And they're like, "Oh, God."
totally.
Oh, I never thought about it like that. That's
Yeah,
adorable.
that's who Aragorn is. Yeah,
Oh,
That's
never
very
thought
true.
about it like that.
I like it.
That's very good. Do you have someone in the Tolkien universe? Oh, am I gone?
Oh, she disappeared.
we lost him.
Okay, so next question that I will just randomly ask you off of this list. Oh, there she goes. I'm just going to ask a question. Okay, there are a lot of deaths, unfortunately, in Middle-earth. Who is one person you would bring back? Who's the most deserving of life that had death?
Beleg. Poor Beleg. That poor guy was just nothing but good times, warm vibes, happiness, and just looking out for his buddy. And to die the way that he did was just so tragic. And
so
Turin
there
made
was
a lot of
a
mistakes,
correct
but even he didn't
answer
deserve
for
that.
that one, and you did it correct.
Awesome.
It's true, though. That is one of the most
That's such a good answer. Did you see my alternate ending for him on Instagram?
I don't have Instagram, so I know I missed that, unfortunately.
So, do you ever read Harry Potter or know what Harry Potter is? Obviously,
I know of Harry Potter. Yeah.
Okay, so someone there was a character that died in Harry Potter, and someone found a book and wrote over what happened to that character. So it looks like if you just picked it up, and this person just flew away and lived a great life somewhere else. And I'm like, I wish I could do that for Beleg. And so I literally wrote an alternate ending for Beleg.
Oh yeah, that was one of the saddest, let's say, one's reading the Silmarillion and he died. Was like, oh no, Turin already done a lot of bad things, but you didn't have to do that. Come on.
I know. We've
That was,
had
yeah,
too
that was
many
tough.
Turin sympathizers on this podcast, like as guests. They're like, he wasn't that bad, you guys. He was just, and I'm like, no, he didn't do great things.
No, he was the worst.
I was like,
He was the worst.
like it had to happen.
He had multiple chances to do the right thing, and he did not.
I know.
Yeah.
Like, it had to be.
But,
interesting
yeah,
story.
unlike poor Tour.
Ugh,
Yeah.
no.
Tor! We love Tor.
Tor's great.
Yeah.
Our Thor, our flowered crown running in the meadow. I love Thor. I love him. Okay, so correct answer. 5,000 points, sir.
You win.
I'm acing this interview.
You are.
We were just talking about this the other day of the Valar, because we feel like their stories were so interesting in the beginning of the Silmarillion, and I would have loved if they kind of kept going throughout the more of the Silmarillion, but it kind of was a bummer that they were like, and then they just stopped communicating and they just weren't there anymore. But do you have a...
You get a tiny bit of Olmo, but...
yeah. Do you have a favorite Valar or Maiar that's like if you could have more stories about them, who would you choose?
Yeah, I loved the Valar. It was like those kind of Greek stories, like Clash of the Titans, when you'd have all the gods.
Yes!
That's what it reminded me of. And I was like, oh, we're going to get this kind of story. I love these kind of stories. And then they went away.
And then bye-bye.
Which is really sad. I know, that was it. You've got a tiny fraction, but the one that I would love to hear more of is Tolkas. Was just always just this guy, just running around.
That's my Valar husband.
Morgoth saw this guy coming and he ran.
Yes!
So I just want to know more about this Tolkas who just loves to fight and just loves a good time and a merry time. So yeah, I would have loved it to get a much more expanded version of all the gods, just to get all those interesting stories.
If I can say that, not being Scottish, to a Scottish man.
Yeah.
He was a Scottish person.
Yeah, maybe that's why I
you felt kindred.
So
he loves to drink, he loves to eat, he loves to party, and loves to fight. I mean, not to stereotype you, but
hey, the shoe fits. Yeah, but no, I loved all those gods. Those Maiar and Bar it's so fascinating, but you just get such a brief part of it. It's so tantalizing. That's like well, maybe that's. Maybe it's for the best. Maybe it's just enough of a good thing. Maybe any more would have been too much. I don't know.
No.
But yeah, I'd love to have more Tolkas and Manwë and just all these kind of see them meddling in affairs and things. Yeah,
I would love even them not meddling. Like I would love to see them in my head, they're watching what's happening on Middle Earth almost like they're watching a TV show. Like they're tuning in like every night. They've got their popcorn. They've got their snacks or whatever. And the arguments that they have between each other, like, no, Barron should stay with Luthien. No, Barron should, the arguments that I would even pay to see that, like, just the commentary that the Valar brings on of Middle Earth. I'd be there for that.
You think the discourse about Rings of Power is crazy? With the hear the Valars watching what's happening there.
I agree.
I feel like it would have been interesting if Tolkien gave them their own book, like their own just separate before elves and men and dwarves and everybody came on the scene. I feel like that would have been such an interesting book of how they... But I would also want it to be more dialogue of them actually talking to each other, because I feel like we don't get that. Them actually communicating with each other.
We don't get
Dream.
That.
But...
We just have gloom and doom. Mandos. And...
Yeah, I think the part, I can't remember the name of the character. It's been a while since I've read the start, but when the chopping down of the trees and, well, I guess, my children are made of wood. Those kind of little lines.
And Yavanna, my favorite power couple. I love that chapter.
More of that little dynamic would be amazing.
I'd watch that sitcom so hard.
That'd be so good. And then
but also the teaching of Gandalf from Crying Girl too. Like even just that perspective and story would be interesting.
Oh yeah, yeah.
A Rome giving raising Huon. Can you imagine him? Training Huon and
Huon the pup. Yeah. That was a blow Baby Yoda out of the water. That was a little puppy Huon.
Oh my gosh,
that'd be so cute.
If I say it enough, it will happen, right? I'll put it out into the universe.
Manifest
I would at least be happy
yes.
with someone who made fan art of like him with a little puppy. Like, how cute would that be? It's like, please, universe.
There's not enough Silmarillion artwork. I'm telling you.
No.
Not nearly enough. We'll get Kip on it, Abby.
Yes. So we have kind of like a quick fire question round, but it's not like you can delve into it as much as you want, but there's no wrong answer. It's just like questions that we've, had like in our after reading the Silmarillion and all these things. So Ashley's got the first one. Go for it.
It's my favorite question to ask people. Okay, I'm curious. Did you actually listen to our interview with Kaya Kay?
Is that the latest interview? Latest episode?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't listened to that yet. That's
okay. Perfect. Okay.
Right. Okay.
So this is spoiler free zone. Then I love it. Okay. Because we've asked this question like so many times. I'm like, but if you already know the answer, if you've already heard the other answers. Okay. So not that there's a right answer, but okay. One of the things, and I'm pretty sure I went on a rant about it during the episode. I go on a rant about it every time I bring it up. What is up with this Stone of Eric? That random rock that they had to bring over to from Numenor. That was like one of the few cool things. What's the point?
What are your thoughts on that?
Kevin, explain it to me.
What is? I
make it make sense.
Yeah, I kind of love the way that Tolkien will introduce some of those things. Like I said, these items or things that have a history within the world, but he doesn't explain it to you.
No.
And I actually kind of love that because I saw I think it was one of his letters where he was saying that his idea was that he was going to leave some of these things deliberately. He wasn't going to fill in all of the stories. He was going to leave some as just a sketch and say this is something that happened here. And then the idea was like just the way that the Norse myths kind of evolved with people telling stories and then someone else telling a story, someone else telling a story on that. He's kind of I'm going to leave the Stone of Eric for some other artist to tell that story in music or in art or some other way to tell that. Well, I mean, you could.
I could, I suppose. I just have rants about it. I'm like, I want it to make sense.
Yeah.
I don't like leaving it up to chance, leaving it up. That almost makes me mad at Tolkien, which I don't think I've ever been.
Yeah, it's the same for me with the Dragon Helm.
I don't like things.
The Dragon Helm thing. It's like, what?
The Dragon
it's
Helm.
Like, let's talk about this super cool Dragon Helm. Whoops, I forgot where it went. Like, it just went away.
Yeah.
Like, what? It has powers? Does it? Sometimes he'll mention it. Sometimes he doesn't.
Does it?
So what are your thoughts about the Dragon Helm?
It's the ultimate question.
I think it probably looks really cool and badass. And I think if I had a dragon helm, I would probably wear it as much as I could. And so
apparently it's really heavy.
Yeah, you need to kind of work the neck muscles.
Yeah.
And really, or you just be kind of head down the whole time, just look like you're bowing at everyone.
Or it could be like,
it's like a little kid.
You can't see, just bumping into walls. Yeah. But I always wonder if it was like a dwarven thing, how it fit on a man's head. If a dwarf's head is smaller, I didn't understand the logistics of that. So I don't. That's maybe it just magically grows.
That's what I said.
However, I don't know.
I said
Abby's
I think it shrinks
Yeah.
and grows to each person. And when Turin wore it, because his head's so big, it got bigger. And then, I definitely.
Maybe it doesn't fit physically, it fits the ego. It fits the ego because it was smaller on some, and dwarfs' egos are very big.
It's true.
So I like it. That's what it's going to be now. I have taken that on, Tolkien. You're welcome. I am now continuing that as fact, and that is something that's going to be.
It's in the canon.
Yes. Okay, next one is, we know the definite answer because it's a thing, it's canon. But where do you, we know what happened to them, so we've changed it to, where do you think the Entwives are if what really happened didn't happen? Like the real answer of what happened to them.
Where the Entwives
What
are.
is your like fantasy of like, this is what I want to happen to where they are now? Where would you say those Entwives?
Because they lost them.
Yeah, and that was always, I don't know where the Entwives would be. I hope wherever they are that, they're not being harassed or ignored by these weird Ents. But I hope they went out east, and maybe the Blue Wizards are out there kind of taking care of the Entwives and making sure that they're getting some nice land, nice fertile land to grow in, and they're just out there flowering beautifully out in the east. And there's, that whole part of the map that's just a couple of sketches that are out there.
Very blank.
Yeah, very blank, yeah.
But actually, it leads to our other question of what you think the Blue Wizards are up to the whole time.
They're
you
tending
think
the
they're
Entwives.
Entwives. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, Sauron, we can't help with this battle. We've got these women to attend to, and they're very needy.
They've got gardening. They've got to, they're out there making that land beautiful. They've got a job, and it's important. And I do not blame them for staying back from the war. If that's the answer, I love it.
Yeah.
It's a good answer. I agree with that one.
It's like you have to have something to protect and go back to preserve. Yeah, some beauty to keep.
I love that. That's such a great answer. That's might be my favorite answer to that question we've had yet, Abby.
Everyone's like, they died. I'm like, they? Yeah.
No.
They're like, they
you don't have to go there.
And they caught on fire, and it was sad. I'm like, yeah, I guess. Could have said something cool, but you gotta be real with it and stuff.
Yeah.
Kevin gets us. He knows what we wanted.
Yeah. Okay. Next rapid fire question is, why is Huon the goodest boy? It's an important question.
I mean, obviously, yeah.
But why
is Huon the goodest
boy?
Why?
There's only one. How did Arome make him the goodest boy? Why is there only one?
Yeah, why is there? Well, I mean, there's only one that we see. We don't know what all the dogs are like back on Valinor. We don't get a lot of perspective on the pets of Valinor, what the dogs and cats are like back there. So we don't know that is the only one, but maybe the only one that came to Middle Earth. But yeah, I really would hope there would be more than one Huon. There should be more than one good boy. It would be a tragic shame if there was just one. Yeah, so I was hoping there would be a litter of little Huons that were back on Valinor, grew up to have happy lives, and yeah, that's my hope for Huon. Yeah, but yeah, he is the goodest boy, no doubt.
He's the best boy.
That would be cute if each
That's Abby's favorite question.
If they get when you become king of, Gondor, king of, but you get a descendant of Huon as when you become a royal person, you get a dog.
Yeah.
That'd be the cutest. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they have Shadowfax as the king of horses. Yeah, it should be like a Shadowfax equivalent for the best of boys.
I love it.
Now I want to think of all the other Valar pets that they would have out there. Like what's the really sad girl? She would just have so many cats. She would just have like all the cats.
She would definitely have that.
Yes. She'd have all the cats.
Well, Nessa's got her deer.
Monway, doesn't he have like...
Rome's got...
Monway, doesn't he have...
Monway's got eagles.
Got
Olmo's got all the whales and the fish. And what does Tolkas have? He's got a rhino. I don't know why, but he has a rhino.
No.
I just saw it. Yeah, rhino. I could see it with a big studded collar around it and a big chain, just standing there with it. Yeah.
I don't know why. That was the first thing that came to me.
Or
it's a rhino.
Okay, this is my conspiracy theory way out of left field. That's where the realm of Beorn, the bear, comes from. Is his pet.
Oh.
Like Beorn's line came from that. It's my thought. It's not canon, but that's what I want to happen.
Nice, yeah.
Okay, next question.
I'm here for it.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how annoying is Turin? On a scale of 1 to 10.
That look alone was priceless.
Yeah, he's very, very frustrating.
Yes.
Yeah, and the tragedy is at the beginning you really pull for this guy because he's just a little kid and he's going through all this horrible stuff, and then he gets to Brethel and you're like, okay, he's finally going to turn that around, and he doesn't turn that around at all, and he keeps making the wrong turn, and it's one of those, like I say, Beleg's death is so preventable. What happens at Nargothrond is all on him. And just totally it's just so many bad decisions, and so he's absolutely 10. It's so frustrating. He's a character that
solid 10.
I want to love Turin so much. He's a guy I feel so much sympathy for, but I can't. He's just no.
He's just so annoying.
It's the whole the two wrongs don't
Great
make a
answer.
right thing.
Correct answer. Another 5,000 points.
Whoa, you're getting up there.
Yeah.
No, it's like the whole like. He thinks he did one thing good, so it can excuse all the other things, and you're like, no. And then we make the joke on our podcast all the time.
And there was sometimes when he was the good guy.
Sometimes he saved the girl from the RA that we're not going to say.
Yeah, but there was so he sometimes does a good thing. You're like, yes, he's coming through, and then he'll just immediately take a hard right turn and just do something absolutely stupid and moronic, and it's like,
come on,
yeah,
be more like your cousin Tor, be a good boy.
And then you
you can learn from your cousin Tor. Oh my god!
And then you look at Beleg and you're like, you have the patience of a saint to put up with this boy, and then that's what he does to you at the end.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I also feel like like Turin, we joke on our podcast that his frontal lobe is not fully developed, and because he's a child still, and so like he's like just making the dumbest decisions, and you're like, children.
Yeah, it's just no impulse
control. I know. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And in the same realm, on the quickfire questions, on a scale of 1 to 10, how unfair is that the death of Beleg? On a scale of 1 to 10.
Oh, 11. That's just terrible. That was one of the moments when I was reading the book. I did have to put it down when I got down and Beleg died. I just have to put it down and just walk away for a minute and it was such a and then come back and read it, but it was just that was just such a.
You were mad at Tolkien in that one moment. You're like, this man has betrayed me.
I was like, I don't know why do you do this. When you write nice stories with songs about fra-la-la-lalies and elves and stuff, and now you're doing this too. And this isn't fair.
Okay, do you want to hear my alternate ending so you have some closure? I love my alternate ending. Okay, so basically. He does get stabbed because I feel like it's an understandable thing. You're like freaking out. You're in the dark and so he does get stabbed. But in the stabbing, I know he's supposed to like lay there and be dead, and Turin's like grieving over him stuff. But I just am gonna forget about that part for a second. So he gets stabbed and he falls off a cliff, he just kind of falls backwards, and he falls into a river, and he Aragorn's down like a river, and almost I got you, buddy, because you're a good guy, and he saves him, and then he goes to live with Círdan for a while, because everyone hangs out with Círdan in the end. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to let Turin have his own journey. And then he hears what happens with Turin. And he's like, well, I guess that was his own journey. And then he goes off to the Undying Lands, and he lives a great, awesome life.
Yeah, I like that. That's
That's how it goes.
Much better.
Christopher Tolkien could have done with an editor as well. I think, let's just fix this, Chris. This is a bit depressing.
I wonder how many things Chris was like, and I wanted to do this.
Scribbling
Yeah.
out
I'm not doing that.
Okay.
Who would know? Who would know?
He leaves the window open and
Yeah.
all the papers fly out. Oh darn! Oh, sorry.
I can remember what it was. Don't worry, I can write it down from memory.
Yeah, I'll just make it up.
Sorry. When Ashley read that part to me, because when I on this podcast, as you know, Ashley had to explain this part to me, and I just remember being like, "Excuse me, can you say that again? Can you hold on, hold on? No, that's not allowed. Actually, that this whole situation not allowed." And
Yeah.
I just feel like
Not okay.
I just feel like Tolkien's like, you know what? I'm gonna write this amazing character, and he's done it with a lot of other characters in the Silmarillion, where he's like, I'm gonna make this super cool character, and I'm gonna take him away from you. You don't get him the whole book.
Finrod.
Finrod. Fingolfin.
Yeah.
Finrod.
Finrod. Fingolfin.
Who was the other one?
Mm-hmm.
That was really sad. Oh, the guy. Off the top of my head, I can't remember if he lived, but the guy that was chained to the cliff, and he was and then lost his hand.
Maedhros. Yeah. Oh, he dies.
Yeah. It's come on.
He actually kills himself.
Oh. Super cool. Forgot about that one. But
yeah.
it's he writes these characters that you love so much because they're just they're so good. They're fighting for good things, and they're very intriguing character, and then they never die how you want them to die, because I feel some of their deaths are
That's the thing. Yeah.
Okay, they died, but could it have not been eaten by werewolves or something? Could have been something cool, he was fighting Morgoth, at the last stand, and he was helping out, or what was the other one that got smushed by the dragon?
That with a Wraithel. Oh, that was just a random guy.
That poor guy.
They're climbing up, and Turin. He just a rock becomes a thing and just pushes him. Yeah, I was so bad for that guy because he just gets this tiny bit of screen page time.
He's it's my turn.
That's all you're known for is the rock.
I get to be on the page. Oh, dang it! I got killed.
I know, but Boromir, he got at least a heroic death in the end. He can almost redeemed himself. So that was when you're okay, he's died. That's really sad, but at least he went out.
Yes.
Defending
100%.
the hobbits and doing the right thing. But someone like Beleg, it's he didn't deserve that. That was called for. Or Morwen, and people just go through all these horrible things like Hurin, and just you're tortured for decades and decades and decades. It's just, they don't deserve that. It's just, it's tough, but that's the world of Tolkien for you.
Rip our heart.
Your heart will be broken.
Do you have a certain character, if you could choose to bring back one character that passed away in the books, and any of the books, who would you choose to bring back to have a second chance?
Oh, I already asked.
I didn't hear it. What was it?
Yeah, it was
good.
Beleg. Yeah,
it was Beleg.
Beleg.
Good answer.
Yeah,
that was actually the right
let
answer.
him live a nice happy life and look at Valinor.
That's actually the right
That's exactly what I said, Abby. It's like we're of one mind. Or three minds at this point.
So we have one final question, which is a favorite of mine. And so imagine, if you will, you can close your eyes if you want, but you can imagine in your mind's eye that you're sitting in a beautiful park, and it's early summer, so it's like warm and perfect outside, and the trees are beautiful, and it's just this green gorgeousness, and you're sitting on a park bench, and then you see Professor Tolkien come up and walk up to you and sit down next to you, and he says, I got 5 minutes. They let me out for 5 minutes. What do you want to talk about? What would you say to him? What would you say to him if you got that time to talk to him?
Yeah, so many places I would just feel like I could just dive into, and I'd probably spend the 5 minutes just asking, trying to articulate the question. But I guess like if I had him just there and it was the only chance I would get, I'd probably ask him what happened after the ring was destroyed, because we never did get that story. He started to write the Shadow Returns, I think it was. He started doing it. He had an idea. I'm always kind of interested. What happened after, and where did it go, and was there something else that happened with the ring, or some other kind of magical artifact? So I had him for 5 minutes. I thought, just tell me the sequel. Let me know what happens after Lord of the Rings.
I won't tell.
I won't tell anyone. I just want to know what your thoughts were for what was going to follow all this. But like I said, if I tried to ask him a question about any of the work, like I said, I'll just be so long trying to articulate what I wanted to ask that I probably wouldn't get anything out of him. So just tell me what happens afterwards, please, Professor.
That's a good one.
I love that.
I would not have. I would not have
a great answer.
Thought about that one. That's a good one. I bet he was like, he would be trying to answer, and he'd be like starting to be pulled back. He's like, wait, I have to answer. Like, I've got more things.
Just get to the good part. Yeah. And plus, I kind of like those mysteries in Tolkien's work as well. I like the fact that the dragon helm doesn't really, you don't see it getting forged, and you don't really know what happens to it later. I kind of like those little mysteries and things. So I kind of
you and I are not the same, Kevin.
I don't actually want that answer. Those answers to those kind of things. Like, that answer. Actually, I might spend 5 minutes just talking about Tom Bombadil. Just what is Tom? What's going on? What was going through his head when he put that? Yeah. What is going on there? Because there's so many theories, and
I know.
I would like to know what his theory is, and just if you had to tell me the truth, he was like forced to tell me exactly what he thought, and he couldn't just give me it means whatever you want it to mean answer. Then I would really be interested to know what actually was going on with those chapters. I love them personally. I love the Tom Bombadil chapters, but they really stand out as being pretty strange. In that book, so I'd like to know what his thinking was there.
Like,
I like that. That's a great answer.
What was going on with this? This right here. What was this?
Tom, what's his deal?
What is this?
And
the River Daughter. What's going on here? Yeah.
Well,
was it based on anyone he met, or
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many things. I think that's the end of our speed round theories, but So, Kevin, it's been so fun. I'm so excited that you joined us today.
Yes,
it's been great.
This has been a blast.
I do have one last question, just more of like a curiosity for me. Is how did you stumble upon our podcast? That's always just something I want to know. Of how people find us.
Oh yeah.
Like I listen to a lot of Tolkien podcasts.
Thank you.
I listen to a lot of Tolkien. I've got at one end. I've got my Tolkien Professor podcast, which I'm about 180 episodes into, and we're just reaching the Council of Elrond. So that's kind of how slow that's going. So I love getting into detail. But then on the other end, I love like your premise, where it's like someone who knows it or someone who's reading the Silmarillion for the first time. because like I say, I find it just such a fascinating and different book than people are expecting when they think they know what Tolkien is, especially if they've only ever seen the movies. So I always love any kind of a podcast that has like a Silmarillion theme, and especially when it's like someone new who's coming to the Silmarillion. So I think I'd finished, there was another one called the Silmarillion, I think it was called, and that was kind of like a similar premise of someone kind of reading the book for the first time, and I finished that, and it was really great. I was like, I want something else. I want to, hear someone else experiencing this book for the first time. And then that's when I found you guys, just searching on the podcast app for Tolkien Silmarillion, and you guys popped up, and I think I downloaded 4 or 5 different podcasts, listened to them all, and used were the ones that really stood out. It's like, these I like the kind of the family vibe. I like the research that Ashley does, and the perspective that Abby brings to it, and the way that you make it really accessible, and you bring humour to it, and the kind of the pop culture references. So I was like, okay, this is exactly what I was looking for. I don't want someone to give me an academic study of the Silmarillion, but at the same time, I don't want you just to skim it and just kind of go through it like that way. So it's that perfect balance of bringing in all this knowledge that you do this research, and then just having like a good time, just hanging out with friends, listening to people talk about this book that I don't really get a chance to talk in real life. Not a lot of people around here know the Silmarillion, so my outlet is podcasts and YouTube videos and things. So you guys, you scratch that itch for me every single week, and it's I love listening to you guys, and it's just having to explore the unfinished tales is it's one of those books that I think is so underrated for some of those like stories, some of the extra perspectives you get. And so you guys exploring it, I was so happy when you picked that as your next book. And so yeah, I've been loving listening along, and I'll keep listening along afterwards as well. I won't listen to this episode because I don't want to listen to myself, but I will listen to the others.
That's fair. Imagine trying to edit yourself and you're like, man, I sound like an idiot. How many times did I say
well, that makes my heart happy. I'm so glad that you found us, and you're here, and you're sticking around with us, and you support us. I love that so much. Thank you. Since you are a awesome listener and a patron, I want to ask you first off, because I don't know how close we are to the end of what the book that we're in right now. We're probably how far into it? Anyway, what would your choice be for what we do after the Unfinished Tales? What would you like to hear after this one?
I kind of like The Hobbit as a good choice, but I like the way you're delving into some of the other kind of works that he's done, and some of these other stories. So I kind of almost like the Children of Húrin book, or one of these. But that is living in Turin's world for a long.
I don't know if I can handle that.
Time, and I don't think I could really ask you to take that on. That's maybe a bit too much, but so yeah, I don't know which book to pick next, because there's always going to be something interesting and some interesting angle to get from it. But yeah, I'm kind of more drawn towards the Silmarillion and some of those great tales. So that's kind of where the Fall of Numenor is a book as well. I'm meaning to read to start reading that one.
Yeah.
So just on the history of Numenor. So yeah, but whatever book you guys settle on, I'm sure I'll be there listening along.
Okay.
Good. We're so glad to have you.
So we're actually going to choose Barbie Princess Magic Kingdom.
That's our next one, actually.
That's Laura's favourite one growing up. Yeah.
It's the Veggie Tales, Lord of the Beans. That's what we're covering.
Oh
yeah. Oh, some of the parody books. Yeah, that would be interesting. Some of those are pretty. Lord of the Rings and things like that. Yeah, those are pretty.
It's Ashley's children's version.
Well, thank you so much for your patronage, and I would make one. But it would be super accurate. So thank you so much for your patronage, and we really appreciate it. It really helps us. We're just two moms trying to make a podcast that we think is fun, and it does cost things, so we really, really appreciate it. And thank you for spending your Friday night with us. I know that's not everyone's favorite idea of a Friday night, but in our world, this is our time, our version of a good time.
What is it?
A chance to talk Tolkien is always welcome. So yeah, that's
what is the phrase? Like, hey, I'm a delight. People would love to hang out with me on a Friday night. What are you talking about? Don't act like it's a chore. No.
Okay.
I can't say enough how thankful we are for you and that we loved having you today. Like, it was kind of a like, oh, I wonder how this is gonna go, because like we, you know, across the internet of like knowing each other, and it's like, okay, this is gonna be great. Another fellow nerd. It's
Yeah.
gonna go great, and it did go great, and I'm so happy.
He likes Tolkien. He can't be that bad.
Yeah.
And Star Wars.
But this has been just so much fun. Like I've been a huge fan for a long time, so it's been just great fun just to kind of talk Tolkien with you guys.
Yes.
So, yeah, I'm glad that you guys are kind of, you're putting this content out there. It's like I say, it's real fun just to listen to and have like that hour long of just like good banter, friendly times, and just talking about, you know, good nerdy stuff. Yeah. So keep on.
That's my favorite thing to do, and I'm so excited that you got to do with us today. I'm so stoked. Do you before we go, we always ask if you have any like businesses or anything that you'd want to promote or like give a little shout out to for yourself or anything like that you want to get out there as a mini ad or commercial.
No, no big businesses, and I'm not a big social media guy, so I'm just kind of keep quiet and just, so I don't really have a lot to promote.
We'll promote that you're a cool guy.
We'll promote you.
Yeah, you're a cool guy.
Kevin is awesome. And he's got a cool cat.
Yeah, she's been up here the whole time and just threatening to roll over the keyboard at any moment and just disconnect me. But I've been fighting with her here and there, but she's behaved for most.
She wouldn't be a cat if she didn't do that, though.
She wanted to talk.
Exactly. She's the star of the show.
She was like, "Hey, I have an answer for that. Hello, me." So we're just gonna do our normal sign off. But again, thank you so much for joining us today. It was so fun. How do I sign this off? I don't say thank you for teaching me today. I say thanks for hanging out with me today.
Thank you.
There we go.
There you go. There you go.
Go for it, Ashley. You got it.
And then I say, until next time, I've been Ashley.
And I've been Abby. Oh, you said. And
he's ready. You can do it, Kevin. You're allowed.
Oh, and Kevin.
Yeah. One of us.
So
one of us. One of us.
He's an honorary brother of the Shire. And we are so grateful.
Yeah, I'll take that.
We're so grateful that you hung out with us today and everybody else hung out with us today. And we hope that you can join us next time. Bye.
Thank you for teaching me a day. Yay!